The man was reborn as a trust fund baby in the novel. He has a monthly allowance of 1 billion. And his daily life is wearing underwear that costs 10 million. He would go to a roadside food stall to eat 10 yuan fried instant noodles. When he's tired, he goes to a bar and orders 5,000 bottles of champagne to soak his feet. He then calls over 100 young ladies to give him a back massage. He thought he had reached the peak of life, but he couldn't feel happy no matter what. Because his role is the villain in urban cool novel, even if his identity is noble, he is nothing but a stepping stone for the protagonist. According to the original plot of the novel, Theo will get engaged to Quinn at his grandfather's birthday banquet. After learning about this event, the protagonist Chris got into a fight at the birthday banquet. He ended up severely injuring Theo, leaving him in a vegetative state on the spot. In order to avoid restarting from the beginning, this marriage should never be arranged. We will soon arrive at Theo Grandpa's birthday banquet. Many distinguished guests from prominent families are also coming. Theo glanced around the hall and quickly locked eyes with Chris sitting in the corner. At this moment, his identity is Quinn's bodyguard. At this moment, a beautiful girl walked over. She is none other than the first female lead Quinn. Please, Theo, stop pestering me. Let's call off the engagement. I will not agree to it. According to the original setting in the book, Theo is Quinn's simp, who spares no effort in using various family resources. For 3 years, he hasn't even won a glance from the other party. His family's elders really couldn't bear to see it, so they decided to form a marriage alliance with the Quinn family and arrange things for the two of them. And now he is no longer the simp he used to be. Upon hearing Quinn's words, Theo couldn't be more delighted. He quickly nodded in agreement. Like Chris, who is destined for great fortune. As a villain himself, all he can do is not to provoke him. Then just be Mr. Perfect and happily survive until the end. Quinn almost didn't react in time. The simp who had been chasing her for 3 years suddenly stopped simping. At the same time, a mocking voice sounded in her ear. I thank your ancestors for 18 generations. Hurry up and elope with your Chris. He needs you. It's a pity that the most beautiful woman ended up as Chris's backup. In the end, she even brought disaster upon the Quinn family. Quinn can be sure that this is definitely Theo's voice because there are only the two of them in the corridor. After quickly understanding all this, a hint of gloom flickered across her face. She, a proud and outstanding woman, why should she be someone's backup while dragging her family down with bad luck? In that moment, she began to feel a resistance towards Chris. Soon, the two of them walked into a study room. The elders of the family were sitting together discussing the marriage alliance. But what happened next left Theo speechless. When they heard he was going to refuse the arranged marriage, the people in the room all had strange expressions on their faces. Everyone in the Sioux region knows that he pursued her for a full 3 years. At this moment, Quinn's father, Ryan, suddenly spoke up. Is it that Quinn girl forcing you to say this? Don't worry, I'll take care of this for you today. Theo was immediately dumbfounded. He was practically asking to be beaten to death. At the same time, the voices of criticism rang out once again. Hurry up and persuade your father. Otherwise, I'll really be in big trouble. Do you still want to elope with your Chris? Quinn immediately got angry when Theo winked at him. What's Chris's deal? Why should I elope with a bodyguard like him? Dad, I support the marriage alliance, Quinn suddenly blurted out in a fit of anger. Ryan's face lit up with a satisfied smile. It turned out that it wasn't his own daughter opposing this marriage proposal, but that Theo was worried about his daughter being wronged. Theo, who was just smiling a moment ago, now had a face uglier than if he had just eaten shit. And Quinn heard a frustrated complaint in his ear again. You are not following the routine. We agreed to break off the engagement together. It was hard for me to become a wealthy Mr. Perfect villain, and I wouldn't even make it through 1 episode. It's not a satisfying plot for a lighthearted story. Quinn's curiosity grew stronger at this point. Will the following events really be the same as what this guy is thinking? The man was reborn as the trust fund baby in the novel. He has a monthly allowance of 1 billion. Unfortunately, his role is the villain in a slapstick novel. According to the original storyline, the protagonist Chris will come to interrupt the wedding today. He instantly kicked him, turning him into a vegetative state. In order to survive peacefully until the end, he chose to divorce the female lead at the beginning. But unexpectedly, everyone is acting against him. They are crazily stirring up hatred towards him. Even the female lead, who usually ignores him, is now crying and shouting that she will only marry him. She is not following the usual script at all. Chris, sitting in the corner, learned the news. His face instantly darkened. He walked towards Theo with a fierce look. Quinn is the woman Chris has his eye on. Anyone who tries to take her will die. He's coming, he's coming. He's coming over with a murderous look. Am I destined to be beaten today? Quinn couldn't help but feel shocked upon hearing that. The Quinn family naturally wouldn't bring bodyguards to the banquet. But Chris really showed up here. It's exactly like what that guy said. I disagree with this marriage proposal. Chris shouted angrily with a cold face. All eyes were focused on him. Ryan's face darkened instantly. What are you? How dare you, a mere bodyguard, meddle in the affairs of the Quinn family? A hint of killing intent flashed in Chris's eyes. If the person speaking wasn't Quinn's father, he probably would have acted by now. He shouldn't meddle in other people's business. He's going to end up hitting someone later. In the end, the Quinn family will be the ones who suffer. But in the end, there's always a protagonist's halo. Anyway, everyone is just a stepping stone for you. If the original plot is followed, Quinn is forced into a marriage by her family. And at her most desperate moment, Chris stepped in to rescue her. She fell in love with Chris and became his first harem member as a result. But Quinn, at this moment, felt neither touched nor surprised. After listening to Theo's true feelings, her mindset had completely changed. A humble bodyguard dared to act recklessly. Someone, kick him out! Ryan roared furiously. Soon a henchman ran over. It was Wesley, the bodyguard captain of the Quinn family. According to the original plot, he was the first to make a move and also the first to be killed. However, after his death, it was Theo's turn to be unlucky. Thinking of this, Theo quickly rushed up to stop Wesley and advised, "Today is my grandfather's birthday. It's not good to fight. Let's settle this peacefully." Seeing the young master speaking up, Wesley finally stopped. But Theo did not expect the others to start causing trouble again. Theo still has good manners. If it were me, I would have taken them out to feed the dogs a long time ago. He probably wants to compete with Theo for women. With his poor appearance, he's not even close to being a match. Theo was extremely nervous after hearing that. Why are you shouting so loudly? Can you be nicer? It may feel good for you to scold others, but I may end up being sent to the crematorium. After hearing the words from these passers-by, Chris did have a cold look. Then he stared at Theo intently. What are you staring at me for? It's not like I was the one who scolded you. If you want to fight, then go ahead and fight. Don't just target me. Theo's whole body was on edge from being stared at. They felt extremely helpless inside. This guy is Chris, the bodyguard of the entire Quinn family. The combined efforts of everyone are not enough for him alone. If anyone really provokes him, soon everyone will be coming to collect bodies from the Quinn family. As long as this guy takes Quinn away, the rest of the matters will have nothing to do with me. At this moment, Chris walked over to grab Quinn and leave. But before his hand could touch him, Quinn took 2 steps back and scolded with a cold face. What are you doing? Are you crazy? The man was reborn as the villain in the novel. He can get extra rewards after living through a plotline. He tries not to be kicked into a vegetative state by the protagonist. He quickly grabbed the younger brother, who wanted to stop Chris from eloping. Only by completely distancing himself from the female lead can he survive peacefully until the end. Otherwise, his whole family, young and old, will suffer as well. But she never expected that after eavesdropping on his inner thoughts, the female lead refused to follow Chris no matter what. And as Chris, his possessiveness is extremely strong. He absolutely does not allow his woman to stay in the Quinn family any longer. Damn, I can't take it anymore. Younger brother Wesley can't bear it any longer. Clenching the kitchen knife, he's about to rush up and take action. Theo quickly stopped him again. Don't be impulsive. Today is my grandpa's birthday. It's not good to cause harm. Master, rest assured. I won't kill him, Wesley promised with a stern look in his eyes. I'm afraid you'll be killed. This kid is a master, Theo whispered, lowering his voice. I, Wesley, have been indebted to the Quinn family for so many years. I'd rather die than live in disgrace. I cannot stand by and watch the Quinn family be further insulted. You are dead to me. But this person is here for me again. Theo is not doing well at this time. Is it so difficult to be a villain? The whole Quinn family is furious at this moment. Their own little bodyguard openly caused trouble. This is undoubtedly pushing the Quinn family into a fire pit. Ryan angrily rushed up and punched Chris in the face. Hurry up and get lost. I only have one son-in-law in my life. If you continue to be unclear, the Quinn family will never let you off the hook. This punch may not be very powerful, but it is extremely insulting. A strong sense of killing intent flashed in Chris's eyes suddenly. But considering that Ryan is his future father-in-law, he chose to continue to endure. Since I am not welcome here, then I will leave. After saying that, he cast a deeply resentful look towards Theo. The humiliation he experienced today. He will make the Quinn family pay back twice as much in the future. You are really crazy. What does this have to do with me? It's obvious that you have a problem with me. Quinn, I'm begging you. Hurry up and leave with your husband. Theo is so angry that he's cursing up a storm in his heart. On the side, Quinn is also holding back a lot of anger. She muttered about her husband for a long time. Angry, she directly kissed Theo on the face. Luckily, Theo was quick-witted. He swiftly used his hand to block his face. So vicious of you. You actually want to kiss me so that you can succeed? I could still survive today? Chris walked to the door and glanced back. His own woman was actually kissing another man. He clenched his fists tightly. In the end, he managed to resist the urge to go back and start a massacre. After all, it's not the time to reveal his identity. He still needs to continue undercover to investigate the truth behind the massacre years ago. But it seems that the Quinn family no longer has a reason to exist. After the banquet, Theo sat on the sofa and cursed loudly. System, are you playing with me? How come today's plot is a bit different from the one in the book? In the original plot, Quinn should have looked down on Theo as a simpleton. But today, she clearly has some issues. Her intelligence has increased significantly. Congratulations to the host for successfully surviving the first stage of the plot, rewarding with one Lamborghini. I am nothing but money. What's the use of this thing you give me? Hasn't the plot already collapsed now? The system doesn't respond. Theo simply gives up communicating with this brute. This thing is just here to cheat people. But I finally managed to survive a plotline. I need to think carefully about the next steps of the plan. The man was reborn as the villain in the novel. He had just dodged the male lead's attempt to force a kiss on him. On the other hand, he encountered the drama of his ex-girlfriend's father falling ill. Quinn's mom just left. Bodyguard Captain Wesley then ran over with a wooden box, saying, "Mrs. asked me to bring this to you. It's a gift for visiting the old man." Theo nodded. The old man he mentioned is none other than the Wang family of the Sioux region's 4 major families. The 4 major families are led by the Tang family, known for their formidable strength. In second place is the Wang family, followed by the Qin family, and at the bottom is the Quinn family. Recently, Mr. Wang suffered a stroke, which resulted in hemiplegia. He is currently recovering at home. Theo suddenly shuddered. Isn't this scene from chapter 62 of the book? Why is it happening early? According to the original plot, Mr. Wang remained unhealed after suffering from hemiplegia. As the male lead, Chris naturally maxed out his status as a divine physician cheat code. Techniques like the Thai divine needle are a walk in the park for him. He easily cured Lord Wang's illness, gaining the friendship of the Wang family and laying the groundwork for his conquest of the Sioux region. Theo is a bit confused now. According to the original plot, he has already passed away at this point. In this scene, it's not Theo who gets trampled, but another divine doctor who went to seek medical treatment. The master failed. Chris stepped forward again. This makes him stand out as a superior person. As long as it's not oneself being stepped on, everything is fine. As for avoiding this part of the plot and such, Theo would not dare to do such a foolish thing. He tried it once before. The result of forcibly avoiding the plot was a dead end. The system rules are in place here. You can find a way to survive. But you absolutely cannot avoid the plot. Wesley beside noticed Theo's changing face color. Unable to resist, he asked him to take credit. Theo, I know you are still upset about today's matter. Rest assured. I have already sent someone to deal with that Chris. Theo was taken aback. Good heavens. You really are afraid of me living until the final conclusion, aren't you? He quickly had Wesley call to bring the person back. Almost got played again. He carefully scrutinized Wesley for a few moments. This guy looked left and right, top and bottom. He seemed like a loyal little brother. This person must not be kept. Just directly transfer him to the South African Mining Company and triple his salary and bonus. After Wesley left, Theo was quite satisfied. It's really good that we managed to get rid of the little brother and sent him to Africa. You won't be able to jump out and create any grudges for yourself, right? Taking the gift placed on the table, Theo drove to the Wang family. Theo had just walked to the doorway of the living room when a beautiful woman happened to walk out from the inside. The two bumped into each other solidly. Feeling the astonishing elasticity in his chest, Theo almost exclaimed out loud. He unconsciously sized up the Cheongsam beauty with his gaze. The explosive figure is simply too tempting. The beauty was suddenly bumped into. She couldn't help but widen her eyes and look at Theo. This beauty is none other than Shirley, the eldest daughter of the Wang family and also Theo's ex-girlfriend. This is the second female lead in this book. Because the Wang family and the Tang family are old acquaintances, they have known each other since childhood. They also attended the same university. In their freshman year, they dated for 2 months. Later, they broke up hastily due to some misunderstandings. Later on, Theo became the most famous simp in the Sioux region. The man reborn became the villain in the novel. He didn't know that others could hear his thoughts. He just escaped the male lead's pursuit. Now he has encountered his ex-girlfriend again. Theo came this time to visit Grandpa Wang. Unexpectedly, Grandpa Wang was taking a nap. Shirley greeted him at the door. The two of them broke up hastily due to a misunderstanding before. Now the misunderstanding has been resolved. But the Tang family and Quinn family are about to form a marital alliance. Shirley regrets it deeply in her heart. Theo didn't think too much about it. He was focused on sizing up Shirley. Quinn couldn't possibly be the number one beauty. I think Shirley is the number one beauty in the Sioux region, right? Look at her demeanor. Quinn is far worse than her. She's looking more and more haggard every day. What kind of marriage is this? Sooner or later, we have to find a way to end this broken marriage. Accompanied by Theo's complaints echoing in her mind, Shirley's hand trembled, almost dropping the teacup to the ground. She couldn't believe that Theo wouldn't be at fault. This must be Theo's voice. This guy clearly hasn't forgotten about himself all these years. He still insisted on trying to please her with sweet talk. She deliberately asked, I heard you got engaged to Quinn today. Congratulations. You finally got your wish. Theo, of course, denied it. Get married? It's all Quinn messing around, right? That crazy woman is just insane. She deliberately used me as a shield while having someone else in her mind. Shirley is even happier hearing these criticisms. Theo also noticed something unusual. His brow furrowed slightly. As an experienced villain, he knew that to survive, the best way was to stay away from these female leads. His tone immediately became colder, but his inner thoughts betrayed him. Oh my! Why are you suddenly so close to me? Your leg is almost touching mine. She smells so nice. Is this her natural scent? Shirley felt both happy and shy in her heart. A playful smile lingered at the corner of her mouth. She moved her face closer again and quietly admitted that she had misunderstood him back then. Theo deliberately looked displeased on the surface, but in his heart, he thought, I'm already acting unhappy. Why isn't she leaving? Is there any dignity left for the proud female lead in the classic romance novels? However, upon closer inspection, there is no denying that her figure and temperament are truly impeccable. Just please, don't come any closer. I really can't handle it. Shirley tried hard to hold back from laughing. She just loves this kind of contrast, Mo. Shirley pouted with her lips tightly pressed together, looking aggrieved. She then took the opportunity to hold onto Theo's arm. Theo's face darkened as he swiftly pulled his arm back. How could this person be like this? Not only did they collide while carrying the ball, but they also hugged my hand. This is cheating. At this moment, Shirley finally couldn't help it and burst out laughing. Her laughter left Theo stunned. She was indeed beautiful, but there was something off about this woman. If he treats her like this, she should decisively turn her back and leave. It would be right for her to never have any dealings with him again, even hold a grudge against him. Only in this way can she stay away from Chris, the fortunate son, and live on. In short, the first key to surviving in a wish fulfillment story is not to compete with the protagonist for women. If you can't afford to stir up trouble, you can always avoid it. Theo was just about to get up and slip away when Shirley had already stood up ahead of him. She stood up and took only a few steps before suddenly exclaiming and falling flat on the ground. She cried out in pain, rubbing her ankle pitifully as she looked at Theo and said, I've fallen down. Why don't you help me up? Theo initially wanted to refuse, but he changed his mind. What if he appeared too indifferent and offended her greatly? How would he deal with her holding a grudge? Women are petty, let alone when you are still an ex-boyfriend of hers. So he walked over with a cold face and reached out to help Shirley up from the ground. Shirley had just stood up when a figure who was unsteady rushed into Theo's arms. This script doesn't seem right. Is this the treatment a villain can have? I must stay calm. She is supposed to be a woman in Chris's harem. Help her up, and then make a quick exit. Shirley, who was lying in Theo's arms, couldn't help but feel a little annoyed after hearing his thoughts. Who is this Chris in Chris's harem? Would I still be willing to serve him in his harem? The man was reborn as the villain in the novel. He just broke up with his fiancée in order to save his own life. He was unexpectedly caught up by his ex-girlfriend. This kind of intimate behavior with the second female lead. Theo, of course, avoids it. He can only show a cold-faced image of a high-ranking man. Unexpectedly, this aroused Shirley's interest instead. I sprained my foot. Can you help me massage it, please? Theo firmly refused. If you're really uncomfortable, I can help you call your family doctor to come over. Just treat it as me hating you. Quickly stay away from me, okay? Anyway, we are not compatible. You are Chris's harem, and my role is the villain cannon fodder. If he finds out about this, I will be done for tonight. After hearing Theo's innermost thoughts again, Shirley coldly snorted in her heart. You won't help me massage, right? I will tell everyone later. I will say about you taking advantage of me. Theo, who had just picked up his foot, stopped in shock. His face was full of astonishment. This is not how you play. Can we talk some reason here? I have never seen an urban romance novel where a villain competes with the protagonist for a woman, and then actually survives. Theo could only advise earnestly, but Shirley took out her phone and waved it directly. Take a minute to think about it. Otherwise, I'll post on my moments. After a moment of contemplation, Theo decided to choose the latter. With a reluctant expression, he sat on the sofa and gently massaged Shirley's ankles. He was thinking. When we first started dating, this girl hasn't developed such a good figure yet. What has she been eating these years? Theo's voice is getting more and more unrestrained. Shirley can't take it anymore. She pulled her foot back directly and pretended to be polite, saying much better. Next time I get hurt, I'll find you. Theo widened his eyes. There won't be a next time. This is not getting along with yourself, right? At this moment, Shirley's phone that was placed on the table suddenly rang. She picked up the phone and frowned after chatting for a few sentences. Understood. The new energy meeting will be postponed for another half an hour. I will arrive later. New energy project. In order to invest in this project, the Wang family's entire cash flow of 50 billion has been locked in. This has led to the Wang family group facing a serious crisis. Noah took advantage of the situation to launch a power struggle. Chris plays the role of the old good guy to help Shirley resolve the crisis, successfully getting Shirley into the harem, and then having someone kill Noah. Ultimately, the Wang family still falls into their hands. Hearing Theo's inner thoughts, Shirley, who was just about to get up and leave, trembled and her eyes were full of shock. How did Theo know about this? Shirley lightly bit her lip, looking at Theo with a hint of admiration and moved. He must have been secretly caring about her, using the power of the Tang family to investigate these matters. She wanted to ask Theo about it clearly and thank him properly. However, she found herself opening her mouth but unable to speak. Helplessly, she could only greet Theo and then hurriedly leave for the company to prepare for the investigation. When she left, her face was as cold as frost, her heart full of murderous intent. Noah, Chris, if I find out the truth, neither of you will get away with it. After Shirley left, Theo immediately breathed a sigh of relief. Even though Shirley was off today, the plot was still set. When Chris arrives at the Wang family later, the domineering aura he exudes is sure to conquer Shirley. When she compares Chris to himself, she will definitely fall for Chris, and Theo will be delighted in his heart. At this moment, footsteps suddenly came from outside the door. Theo looked towards the door. He then realized it was a petite and pretty girl. The girl, upon seeing Theo, immediately flashed a sweet smile and greeted him. She is Zoe, the most famous goddess doctor in Sioux region, who is only 20 years old this year. Her medical skills can rank in the top 10 in X country. Chris, standing behind the crowd, saw Theo later. But compared to Shirley, he is far behind. In just 3 years, the Wang family's assets have surged by 80 billion. Theo looked at Noah and couldn't help but shake his head slightly. The man was reborn as the villain in the novel. He found himself possessing the physique that attracted beautiful women. Any woman that the male lead sets his eyes on will fall for him. Even Zoe, who is currently practicing medicine in the Wang family, is especially attentive to him. Theo is feeling extremely bitter in his heart. Chris is gritting his teeth in anger. This guy's surname Tang is truly despicable. Is he really going to go after the woman Chris likes? To assert his presence, Chris suddenly interrupted Zoe, who was about to perform acupuncture, saying, "Zoe, are you planning to use the Ghost Gate 13 needles to treat the paralysis of the old man through his Tianju acupoint?" Zoe furrowed her eyebrows slightly. She had just adjusted her focus when she was suddenly interrupted, feeling a bit annoyed inside. "I think it's not appropriate. You probably haven't realized the real problem with the old man. This acupuncture treatment might actually harm the patient by disturbing the meridians. If you're not sure, I think it's better to let me handle it." When he spoke, the members of the Wang family all showed expressions of dissatisfaction. Only Theo clapped and cheered on the side. A classic routine emerged. He first stepped forward to stir up hatred. After stirring up the hatred, he would then proceed to make a bet later. Then let Zoe continue to heal. Finally, Zoe encountered a problem while healing. He stepped in again. By then, the Wang family members will be convinced of him. Zoe will also admire his medical skills, and fall in love with him. However, when it comes to Zoe's treatment, there is no problem. Just worried about harming the old man's body. The reason is that the acupuncture treatment is too conservative. Her treatment method should be more intense. Stimulating the Waifu acupoint to expel the blood stasis would be good. Upon hearing these thoughts, Zoe's expression instantly turned extremely strange. After being scolded by everyone, Chris felt angry in his heart, but his expression remained indifferent. At this moment, a middle-aged man scolded. "Ridiculous. Grandpa's health is not a joke. What use is a young man who hasn't even grown a full beard?" Chris heard this and laughed. "Zoe is even younger than me. How do you know my medical skills are inferior to hers?" "How about we make a bet? If Zoe can't cure him, I will save Grandpa. But you all have to apologize to me. If she cures him, I, Chris, will immediately climb out from the Wang family." Zoe has listened to Theo's heart for half a day and understands the general situation. At this moment, she has no good feelings towards Chris, and even feels that his smile is extremely greasy. As a doctor, how could he gamble with something as sacred as medical practice? Chris does not agree with Zoe's cold attitude. He believes that after showing off his medical skills and conquering her later, she will naturally fall in love with him. Noah, on the other hand, is extremely uneasy. He originally planned to let Chris take the lead and treat his grandfather. As the referrer, he naturally hoped to take credit for it. However, when he saw the confident and charming smile on Chris's face, he was also infected by the atmosphere. If everyone is smiling like this, it means that everything is under his control. It seems that I was not mistaken. After the old man finishes the treatment later, there is still some blood stasis in his body that has not been cleared. Zoe's treatment plan has a slight error. In a few more minutes, it will be Chris's turn. Zoe has developed a good impression of him because of this. In the end, she became part of his harem. Theo's voice echoed once again. Zoe remained expressionless after listening, focusing her attention on the silver needle in her hand. Soon, her hands moved as fast as a shadow. She quickly inserted 13 needles in one breath. The old man's expression immediately changed. The people of the Wang family inside the house also became nervous one after another. The man reborn turned into the villain in the novel. Unexpectedly, due to his charismatic physique, he was once again regarded as a love rival by the male lead. Chris tried to make a comeback, even resorting to betting with Zoe. As long as she doesn't cure the old master, he will have a chance to show his skills and gain the respect of the Wang family and Zoe. But I didn't expect Zoe to have some medical skills as well. Chris pulled the corner of his mouth, showing a look of disdain. Ghost Gate 13 needles is indeed powerful, but compared to oneself, it's still far behind. Zoe removed the silver needles from the old man's hand one by one and asked him how he felt. Although the old man's voice was a bit shaky, it was already much more fluent than before. At this point, the middle-aged man from before stepped out. "I won't make things difficult for you. Allowing you to climb out would damage the dignity of our Wang family. However, you must apologize to Zoe." Chris sneered and extended 3 fingers, saying, "Are you sure you've been cured?" "Let's do this. I'll count. If the old man is fine after 3 minutes, I'll even kneel down and apologize." The middle-aged man took out his phone and started the countdown. As soon as 3 minutes passed, they would make this kid's face look good. Zoe suddenly understood after hearing Chris's words. She quickly grabbed the old man's wrist to recheck. Some bruises began to slowly converge together. She had previously considered the old man's body too weak and wanted to slowly adjust it with traditional Chinese medicine. The situation has changed now. She can only switch to a different treatment plan, and so she instructed Theo to disinfect another silver needle. Theo nodded. His face showed some bewilderment. Why does this girl need another silver needle? Has she already discovered the problem? Hearing Theo's inner thoughts, Zoe's lips formed a smile. "Don't I still need to thank you? My brother Theo." she accurately pierced with the silver needle in her hand. After targeting the Waifu acupoint on the old man's lower leg with this needle, a large red patch suddenly appeared on his leg. Zoe quickly dropped a few more needles. Soon, blood started continuously flowing out from the old man's lower leg. And Chris, upon seeing Zoe's actions, was completely dumbfounded. There was no reason for this woman to discover this hidden condition. And the middle-aged man standing behind him, upon seeing that the 3 minutes had passed, his face darkened as he said, "Hey, miracle doctor. The 3 minutes are up. Shouldn't you fulfill your promise now?" Chris was instantly extremely embarrassed. Today he was supposed to act superior, conquer the Wang family, and win over the beauty. Now he really couldn't leave with dignity. He only needed to make a quick decision. Zoe will definitely become his woman in the future. He can endure bowing down to his wife. This is still acceptable to him. I didn't expect that the Sioux region also has such a true master like Zoe. It was my lack of insight today. I apologize to Zoe here. He finished speaking and extended a palm. A silver needle floated above his hand. It was the supreme skill of Tai Divine Needle, using Qi to manipulate the needle. After seeing this move, the members of the Wang family all showed expressions of amazement. It started. He quickly changed the subject, didn't he? However, Zoe is indeed obsessed with medical skills. When he shows off his Tai Divine Needle skill, Zoe will probably be curious about him. You are indeed worthy, Chris. You have always been successful in dating. Theo's sarcastic remarks quickly resounded. Zoe's face flashed a hint of annoyance. This guy is hitting on her. At this moment, her impression of Chris is simply extremely bad. Having medical skills, but lacking medical ethics. Just focus on treating the illness properly. Don't bring patients into a bed. She deliberately exclaimed. Wow, that's amazing. Then you must keep your word, right? Aren't you supposed to kneel down and apologize? Chris's anger was burning fiercely at the moment. His emotions were too intense. The silver needle in his hand could not withstand his inner strength and twisted on the spot. At this time, Noah hurried out to defuse the situation. Chris's expression softened slightly. It was just a moment of anger earlier. If Zoe doesn't mind, I would like to make it up over dinner tonight. Zoe coldly snorted and decisively refused. Chris felt both embarrassed and angry. At this moment, Shirley walked in from outside. There was a touch of coldness in her eyes.